So thanks for joining us on today's episode of Techbridge on Lagos Television. I always say that this is the show that connects you to the future. We talk the future because we know that it's not something far off. It's not something like 10 years, 20 years to this time. Right now, technology is the future. And Techbridge is here to ensure that you leverage on all the offerings of technology, making technology work for you and not against you. Welcome once again. I am Seyifunmi Olatide. And on this show today, we'll be talking about an ongoing conversation about one of the offerings of modern technology. And of course, it evolves every day. And you want to catch up with that. Please stay with me. It's still Techbridge. Don't go anywhere. I'll just go for this quick breather. I'll be back.
Hey guys, this is John Obi, the award-winning new media consultant. Keep watching Techbridge on Lagos Television.
Hi guys, my name is Vincent Davose. I'm a network and cloud security expert. Keep watching Techbridge on LTV.
So thanks for staying with us. It is still Techbridge on Lagos Television. While I was doing my intro, I was trying to explain to you the fact that technology evolves each day. And one of the most recent conversations around technology is the cloud. Of course, it's something that is gaining more traction at this time. And we are going to do a kind of comparison. I know that at some point we might still want to take advantage of what we have on ground without the cloud, but we're going to do a comparison about that today, and I'm getting someone who is going to do justice to that. I'm getting an expert. He's a Nigerian and is based in South Africa. So I'm going to be connecting via Skype with Kayode Sanni-Olodo. Kayode is a cloud infrastructure expert. He started his career here in Nigeria and now is working with one of the global brands in South Africa. So Kayode, thanks for connecting with us on Techbridge today on Lagos Television.
Hello, thanks Shay. Thanks for having me on your show.
Okay, so let me pick it from this way. On-premise, what we call it on-prem, like we say, and cloud. I want you to give us a clear-cut difference. What are the offerings of each one of them? Just let's start from there.
There is a big difference between on-prem and cloud. In on-prem, the company or the organization owns the entire infrastructure, from the building itself, that's the data center, to the hardware, the networking, storage, server, to the OS that will be installed, to the application software license. The organization owns the entire stack. So the management of it, the security of it, the organization takes care of it. But when it comes to the cloud provider who has actually taken some of this headache away from the company. So the company may own part or none of the IT infrastructure. The cloud provider owns the data center and the IT resource, then provide access to the company, their internet, to access these IT resources. So there are different, there are three types of offerings in the cloud, which we usually refer to as the infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, and the software as a service. If we refer to the diagram, in the case of the infrastructure as a service, you see that the cloud provider is providing the infrastructure for the organization. So from the hardware, from the networking, the storage, to the server, and at times the OS. Sometimes the cloud provider also provides the operating system. So, but after that, the rest of the stack, from the application that will be running on it to the data security and all that, will be handled by the company. And there is also what we call the platform as a service, whereby the cloud provider provide a platform for the company to bring its code. So it's just a platform for the company to run its code on. So the company does not need to bother itself about the operating system, the server, or the storage where it is running from. All they need to do is just to bring the code and run it on the infrastructure. Okay. Then there is the last one we call the software as a service, whereby the company does not even own any of the IT infrastructure. All they need to do is to just come and consume that software. For example, your Gmail, your mail. So you don't own the mail service, you don't own the data, you don't own the storage, you don't own the infrastructure that it is running on. All you need to know is that you have an account and you can log onto your account and send mail. So, but the beauty of cloud is that it has three characteristics. It must be on demand. On demand meaning that there is no upfront payment. You use it, you make use of it at the time you want it. Then it is pay as you go. You don't need to, you only pay for what you consume. You don't pay in advance, unlike in the on-prem, where you have to commit to a long-term investment because you have to acquire those IT resources, those hardwares in advance. But in the case of the cloud, you only pay for what you are using. And then it is flexible in the sense that you can upgrade at any time. It's just at the click of the button, you can upgrade your infrastructure to any extent. Unlike in the on-prem environment, whereby it's rigid, and even if you want, if you have the opportunity to even upgrade it, you have to go through a series of steps to perform the upgrade.
Okay. Thanks for that explanation. So I want to ask you, so how does a company or an organization determine which one is the better choice? How do I know, if I have a company, how do I know that I'm supposed to take advantage of on-prem or take advantage of the cloud from what you've said?
Okay, thanks for that question. So for startups, for small and medium enterprise, definitely cloud is the way to go because of the huge investment you require in setting up the IT infrastructure. So for a startup, you might not have that amount of resource to put into setting up of those IT infrastructure. So the best thing is for you to go the cloud way because you only pay for what you are using and you can scale at any time you like. But for already existing company that already have an IT infrastructure on ground, there is also what we call the hybrid setup. Hybrid in the sense that is a mix of the on-prem and the cloud. Take for example, when the company is running maybe like a month-end batch process and requires more compute capacity. So instead of investing in redundant hardware capacity that will just be lying there that you only use once in a month, you can leverage on the cloud and bust to the cloud to run your end of day, end of month, end of year. And then once you are done, since it's cloud is on demand and you pay for only what you use, you decommission, then you come back to on-prem and continue running your normal business. Take for example, maybe you are launching a new product, a new line of product, and you're expecting high traffic. So instead of you going to invest in extra hardware capacity, you can simply bust to the cloud to handle that high traffic for that period of time. Then once you're done with the product launch and everything normalizes, you stay back on-prem. Already existing companies they can look at using cloud as backup or using it as a disaster recovery site instead of investing in hardware that will just be sitting down at the disaster recovery site doing nothing. Maybe you only run from your disaster recovery site once in a quarter. You can leverage on the cloud to act as a disaster recovery site. Since you're going to be paying for what you use, that means it's only when you fail over to the cloud, you pay for the resource you have there. So you are not tying down money. Big data is huge thing now. You have huge amount of data. You don't know what to do with those data, but there are huge number of information you can gather from those kind of data. So, and because this software and the IT infrastructure for analyzing data are so expensive, you can leverage on the cloud. The cloud provides all those infrastructure for you to do your big data analytics, your machine learning, your artificial intelligence, and you only pay for what you use. And once you're done, you decommission.
All right, thanks for that. That is really apt. So now, another concern is about security. So when we talk about on-prem and the cloud infrastructure, so how about the security concerns? Do they have the same security level, or one is prone to security threats than the other? Please shed more light on that for us.
Whether you are running on-prem or in the cloud, you're facing the same security threats.
Okay.
Take, for example, the recent Twitter hack that happened. It was the employee of Twitter that was compromised. Maybe a mail was sent to him that contained malicious software, and it took over the employee's system. And since the employee has access to their core application, the rest is a story. So whether you're running on-prem or in the cloud, you are facing the same security risk. The main concern is about data privacy, which borders around how you capture data, how you process, transmit, and store the data. And government of various companies or various countries have stepped up the game. They've come up with different policies. For example, if you look at in the EU region, they have what we call the General Data Protection Regulation, yes, which restricts data usage only in the EU region. So you cannot transmit or save data that belongs to a EU member outside of the EU region. So by that, the cloud provider are forced to establish data centers in the country so that they can abide by that policy, by the government policy. So it's more of data privacy, but in terms of security, it's same level of security threat, whether you're running in the cloud or you are running on-prem, is the same level of security threat. You are all exposed to.
Okay. So having talked about the security concerns, so another fear is the fact that once we begin to embrace the cloud, there is something probably on the negative side that happens to the employee. So what happens to my employee if I decide to move to the cloud? What happens there?
Okay, so there is usually a misconception about organization moving to cloud, and then and as a result of that, they don't need their IT staff anymore. That is not true, because cloud in itself is a shared responsibility. Depending on the type of service you are going for, whether it's infrastructure as a service or platform as a service or a software as a service, there is an aspect of the infrastructure that the cloud provider is responsible for. And there is the aspect that the company is also responsible for. Take for example, if it's an infrastructure as a service, yes, the cloud provider is responsible for the physical security of the hardware, the maintenance of the hardware, and partly the security of the operating system running. So the company still needs its IT staff for day-to-day running of the IT infrastructure, whether it's the patch management, is the running of batch, database administration, and all that. You still need your staff for that. The cloud provider only takes away the headache of managing the physical hardware, the security of the hardware, the power, cooling and environment, fire suppression system, all those kind of things. The cloud provider takes the headache away from you, so you can focus on the real business you are into. Going to cloud does not mean you're just going to you dump the already existing IT infrastructure. That's why we'll talk about the hybrid setup. So you can leverage on the cloud for if you need additional capacity. So you can burst to the cloud, whether you are running your end of month or end of day, end of the year batch. You can burst to the cloud for additional compute capacity. You can also leverage on the cloud for your disaster recovery plan. Then those hardwares too that you have on-prem, after a period of, let's say, 4 or 5 years, the warranty that comes with the hardware expires and they become more expensive to maintain. Then organization will go through what we call the hardware refresh. So they have to buy a new set of hardware. Those are huge investments. So instead of doing making those huge investments in buying a new hardware resource, you can leverage on the cloud. It transforms your capex to your opex. So instead of making that huge capex investment, initial huge capex investment, you don't need to do that. So you only pay as you go. You only pay for what you use. So it changes it to an operational expenditure, that OPEX. So you only pay little by little. You know, if I give you the option of using the latest iPhone every time it comes out, if I give you that option of using it and you only pay me 8,000 naira or 10,000 naira every month for using the latest iPhone, don't worry about the phone. Once there is the latest, you can come to me and get the latest. I insure it for you. If it's stolen, it's already insured. Just pay me 10,000 on the monthly basis, and you have access to the latest iPhone all the time. That's what cloud is bringing on board. That you have access to the latest hardware, latest software, latest security applications you have out there, but you are not paying for any. You are only paying for the fraction of what you are using. You are only renting.
Well, I would say that's the better word for it. All right. So is it safe to conclude that it is a lot cheaper to leverage on cloud infrastructure or to embrace cloud technology compared to on-premise? Would it be safe to say that?
Yes, it is much cheaper, but due to government regulation and policy, at times company might not be able to run strictly in the cloud. Like I said about the data privacy thing. So if, like in Nigeria, is not the data privacy laws and policy around it is not that clear. So today, most companies, they are skeptical about moving to the cloud. They don't know what kind of data they can move to the cloud, since the data now will not be within the border of the country anymore. It's going to be elsewhere. So that's where government policy will come into play here. So if the policy is clear about data privacy, and imagine today the government coming out and saying, they are going the cloud way. They want to digitalize the ministries. You see the cloud provider coming on board, and by doing that, you give them the option. I need you to set up a data center in my country because of policy ABC that you cannot take my data outside of my territory. So the cloud provider will be forced to bring the infrastructure to your country, and you know what that means? More employment. The benefit is huge.
Okay, thanks so much, Kayode. We can't really exhaust this today, and I really appreciate your time with us on Techbridge today, sharing your wealth of experience about this particular topic. Thanks so much. Hope to connect with you some other time.
Yeah, thanks, Sheyi. The pleasure.
So thanks for staying with us. That was Kayode Sanni-Olodo, a cloud infrastructure expert, a Nigerian based in South Africa, sharing his wealth of experience on this topic, on-prem versus cloud. And one of the things I could pick from that place is the fact that it all depends on the kind of business or the kind of deployment you want to do. So it's not so rigid that you must do on-prem or you must do cloud. You need to look at what you want to do and of course your budget. So another thing we can pick from what Kayode said is the fact that with cloud, it must be on demand, it must be pay as you go, and it must be very flexible. And of course, talking about the PaaS, IaaS, and SaaS, that is infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, and of course software as a service. It is all about what exactly you want to do. You need to define what you want to do with technology, then you begin to look out for the best offerings, of course considering your budget as well. There is no limitation with technology, remember. It's all about having the right exposure to what works for you and what will work for you later. So that's our show today. Many thanks for joining us. Remember that you can connect with Techbridge on Lagos Television on Facebook. On Facebook, we are Techbridge LTV. And of course, on YouTube, we are Techbridge LTV as well. Do remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel so that you can have a prompt of all the fresh episodes and all other previous episodes we are going to upload. You watch them again and again. Thanks so much for all your comments on our social media platforms. We really appreciate them all. It encourages us to do more. So till some other time, keep innovating, keep leveraging on technology, and keep achieving more. I am Sheyi Olatide. Bye for now.